Good evening. I, along with Ms. Fine and Ms. Stranick, want to welcome all of you to Charles F. Brush High School National Honor Society induction ceremony. We are pleased to have parents, board members, teachers, and administrators in attendance, but especially our present NHS members and our honored inductees. Inductees, you may be seated. It is exciting for my first year to see these fine young people who have been selected for induction into NHS based on their scholarship, leadership, service, and character. Congratulations to you. We look forward to seeing great achievements from you both this year and in the future. We thank you all for all you have done to make Brush High School the place of learning and excellence that it is. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jill Stranick, co-advisor of National Honor Society, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about the organization. In 1921, the National Association of Secondary School Principals officially established the National Honor Society. Though many local and regional chapters existed, or honor societies existed prior to 1921, no nationwide organization had been founded. Under the leadership of Dr. Edward Ranierson, principal of Fifth Avenue High School in Pittsburgh, the organization grew from the original Alpha chapter to more than 1,000 chapters in just 9 years. Today, there are chapters in 50 states, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and Canada. According to the national organization's goals, National Honor Society hopes to, quote, recognize and encourage academic achievement while developing other characteristics essential to a democracy. Our Constitution outlines 4 main purposes which have guided chapters of NHS from the beginning. Quote, to create enthusiasm for scholarship, to stimulate a desire to render service, to promote leadership, and to develop character in the students of secondary schools. These purposes translate into the criteria used for membership selection in each local chapter. Tonight, we are pleased to welcome 12 young people who have met these criteria. They are a tribute to Brush High School and to you, the parents, teachers, counselors, and administrators who have guided them on their journey towards excellence. I would now like to introduce NHS President Logan Booker.
Alaj Sen will light a candle to represent scholarship. The first branch of the National Honor Society is scholarship. The inductees behind me have all achieved a grade point average of 3.5 or higher, but even more importantly, they embody a commitment to learning. The pursuit of knowledge doesn't end at the classroom doors, and the Brush NHS inductees have learned that knowledge can be acquired only through diligence and effort. Learning fuels the lamp by which we read the past and the light which illuminates the future. Candidates have the charge to continually expand their world through the opportunities inherent in scholarship. Ryan Stovall will light a candle to represent leadership. The leaders at Brush High School exert a wholesome influence on the school. In taking the initiative in class and in school activities, the real leader strives to train and aid others to attain the same objective. The price of leadership is sacrifice, the willingness to yield one's personal interests for the interests of others. A leader has self-confidence and will go forward when others hesitate. No matter what power and resources may exist in a country or a school, they are ineffectual without the guidance of a wise leader. Leadership is always needed, thus, to lead is a substantive charge to each of our members. I would now like to introduce parliamentarian Taylor Reeves to read the second two pillars of NHS.
Maya Williams will light a candle to symbolize character. Character is the force within each individual which distinguishes that person from others. It gives each of us our individuality. But when we talk about character for the students of National Honor Society, the word means so much more than that. Implicit in the term is the ethical or moral nature of an individual, that product of constant action, striving daily to make the right choices. We must be then, in reality, what we wish to appear to others. By demonstrating such qualities as respect, responsibility, trustworthiness, fairness, caring, and citizenship, we may hope to prove by example that we value character. Service can be described in various ways. In the routine of the day's work, many opportunities arise to help others. Willingness to work for the benefit of those in need without monetary compensation or recognition is the quality we seek in our membership. We are committed to the idea of volunteering our time and our abilities to the creation of a better tomorrow.
Good evening. I'm Sally Fine. I'm one of the co-advisors of National Honor Society. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Stephanie Ripma was admitted into the National Honor Society as a senior at Brush High School in 2008. She graduated from Brush in 2009 after attending Ridgebury, Greenview, and Memorial in the South Euclid-Lyndhurst School District. After graduation, she attended John Carroll University, where she earned a degree in history. While at John Carroll, she student taught at Brush with social studies teacher Joan Kelly. And after graduation, she worked at Brush as a substitute teacher for a year before enrolling at Case Western Reserve University Law School. During that time, Stephanie interned with the United States Coast Guard in both Cleveland and Washington, D.C. After earning her law degree, Stephanie first worked as a public defender in Ashtabula County. In 2019, Stephanie became an assistant chief counsel for the Department of Homeland Security. She represents the government in immigration proceedings in front of the Executive Office of Immigration Review within the Department of Justice. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Stephanie Ripma.
Thank you, Mrs. Fine. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed faculty, proud parents, and the remarkable members of the Charles F. Brush High School National Honor Society inductees. As a Brush graduate, I'm incredibly honored to stand here today to celebrate your academic excellence and the National Honor Society's core values: scholarship, leadership, service, and character. I want to talk today about my own experience with those values and how I hope they can guide you as well. Before I begin, I should tell you that my first experience with NHS started with rejection. My junior year at Brush, I applied to join the NHS and was promptly rejected. They told me I hadn't demonstrated enough leadership. That's fine. I've never taken rejection well, and neither should you, but I'll talk more on that in a bit. So my senior year, I set out to show them I volunteered for everything. I became a section leader in orchestra, a treasurer for student congress, and co-captained the girls' varsity soccer team. Was it overkill? Maybe. But I wanted to be a member of NHS, and whether my leadership impressed them or I was just a pain, I got in. So, after that, I got a history degree and a teaching certificate from John Carroll University, went to law school at Case Western Reserve, then worked as a public defender before taking my dream job, working for the Department of Homeland Security. But through all those stops, a few fundamental values stayed true. And I want to tell you why those values matter for you as well. And I think you can group those values in ways that match the pillars of the National Honor Society: scholarship, service, leadership, and character. I don't need to talk to you all about scholarship. In fact, I know that to even be able to apply to NHS, you already all are outstanding students. And I know you will keep being outstanding students at school. But scholarship means more than just good grades. It also means to keep learning new ideas, chasing new dreams, and putting in the effort. Because that process of learning what you want to do and what it takes to get there is absolutely key to everything in life. You can go just as far as you dream, even if you have no idea what those future dreams will be. In high school, I had no interest in law school. I never thought of being a lawyer, much less a lawyer for the Department of Homeland Security, and that was mainly due to the fact that I didn't really know any lawyers. So the fact that I could be one never crossed my mind. Plus, I'd always heard how difficult it was: 4 years of undergrad, and then 3 more years of law school, and then you had to pass the bar exam. It all seemed so far out of reach as to not be a real possibility. However, I knew I enjoyed social studies, at least so I decided to major in history. I also knew, as someone who grew up in the shadow of the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, that I wanted to serve my country in some capacity, so I knew I either wanted to go into the military or work for the federal government as a civilian. And honestly, I didn't even figure out what being an attorney is, or I didn't figure out that I wanted to be an attorney until after I graduated John Carroll, a whole year after. But it turns out I could do it, and I always had the skills to do it, and you all do too. Dream big dreams, learn big things, and challenge yourself to keep learning. I'm talking to an audience of people who can be doctors, lawyers, business executives, entrepreneurs, or whatever makes you happy. You all have the academic talent to make it to the top of whatever profession inspires you. So dream bigger than you know, work hard, and don't let anything limit you. Often leadership is a close friend to scholarship, because going hand in hand with scholarship, sometimes the path forward to your goals, you have to forge the way. When I started law school at Case Western, we were told during our first week that there was a National Security Law Society. I was so excited because national security law was my ultimate goal. I wanted to be a federal attorney helping to make our country safer. Sorry, I lost my place. 1 second. See, this happened. You just got to roll with it. So I wanted to be a federal attorney helping make our country safer. So afterwards, I went up to the dean and asked how I could join the National Security Law Society. He shifted uncomfortably and said, well, there used to be a National Security Law Society, but it sort of became defunct after the last president graduated. But if I were interested, I could resurrect it. Having just started law school, starting a whole law society on my own felt daunting. However, I knew national security law was what I wanted to do, so I had to at least try. So I took baby steps and asked the administrative staff how one starts a law society, and they gave me the forms to fill out, which wasn't so hard. It turns out I didn't even have to do it quite all by myself. I found others who were interested too, and together we brought the National Security Law Society back into existence at Case. We hosted panels with national security experts and provided an opportunity for others to learn more about this area of law. But most importantly, it taught me how to step up and take the lead. You might feel overwhelmed initially about taking the lead on something, but it's all about breaking down the problems into smaller, achievable goals. And if you do that, it's likely others will follow you and help you all achieve a common goal. Service is our third pillar, and just as important. We've gone over how you all have the ability to achieve academically and lead others in pursuit of your goals and dreams. But it's so important to remember that we achieve nothing alone, and you should take every opportunity to assist others along the way. That includes helping in traditional ways, like volunteering at a food bank or at an event to help raise money for charity. But it also includes unplanned moments when a friend or even a stranger needs help. For example, many years ago, I went on vacation with my family to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. We went during the off-season, so there weren't many people around or many stores open. One afternoon, while my brothers and my dad went golfing, and my mom stayed at the house to read, my future sister-in-law and I decided to take our only car between the six of us and drive around the area to see what we could see. At one point, we went down an empty road, and to our delight, it ended right at a beach. Out on the beach, we could see trucks driving around on the sand and having a blast. So I looked at my future sister-in-law, and she looked at me. And we silently agreed, why not us too? Before I continue, I think it's important to make clear what I was driving. I was driving a conversion van. For those who don't know, this is a large boxy van that was not created to off-road anywhere, let alone on deep sand in the Outer Banks. But in my excitement of possibly driving on the beach, I did not deploy those precious critical thinking skills that I had been taught by my wonderful teachers and professors. So I said, let's do this, and hit the gas. And for a few glorious moments after we started speeding towards the beach, we were thrilled. But the moment the tires left the pavement, our beautiful journey suddenly and completely came to a full stop. I panicked and immediately opened my door to see what had happened, to be greeted with sand all the way up to the opening of the door. I had sunk the van in sand, and there was nothing I could do to even make it budge a little bit. My future sister-in-law and I sat there continuing to panic. Who could help us? My mom was at the house and had no car. My dad and my brother were 45 minutes away with no car. At this point, the trucks driving around on the beach saw what I had done and one drove over. One of the nice men in the truck got out and said, so you know, conversion vans do not go on the beach. And I assured him I knew that now. However, these men had a solution. They had ropes and cables in their truck and were able to pull us out free and clear. In my eyes, it was a minor miracle. They had saved the day, and they did it simply because they saw someone in distress and chose to help because they were able. And I know this was a lighthearted example, but there will always be times when you aren't necessarily doing volunteer hours, when you see someone in need. Help them, and help them if you're able. It will likely cost you nothing but your time, and you have made someone's day a little brighter. These guys certainly made our day brighter and saved us from a lot of embarrassment and the wrath of my mother. Finally, we come to character. Character, in my opinion, is the most important of the 4 pillars. As the NHS website puts it, character is the essence of who we are. Another way to say it, maybe, is that character is the choices you make when no one is looking. Having a strong sense of self insulates you from becoming or being susceptible to making choices that could harm you or others. But of course, this is all easier said than done. How can you develop strong self-confidence or strength of character? It's simply little decisions every day. A lot of examples we've already talked about: persevering even though you didn't make a team or a club or the National Honor Society the first time, taking the lead even though it seems daunting, or reaching out to help someone in need. Having a strong character will help you find the courage to make the right choices even though it's scary and difficult. I am 34 years old, but one of my proudest moments came when I was 16 years old, that I still pull strength from to this day when I am faced with doing something difficult or scary. I had just gotten my license and was naturally excited to drive my friends around. I just dropped off one of those friends at her house and still had one more friend to get home that night. As I was backing out of my friend's driveway, I managed to accidentally back into a car that was parked on the street, putting a big dent in the front door. My friend, who was still in the car with me, shouted, "Go, go, 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 go," which I think is understandable reaction at that age. But I was terrified and wasn't initially sure what the correct answer was. As far as I could tell, no one was outside and saw me do it, so I could probably just drive away and no one other than my friend in the car would ever know. But thankfully, I did not choose to just drive away. I hit someone's car, which surely would cost them money to fix, and I thought about how I would feel if someone had hit my parents' car or someone else I cared about's car and just drove away and left them to pick up the pieces. It was an accident. I didn't mean to do it, but driving away was not the answer. So even though I was afraid, I parked the car and walked up to the house where I assumed the owner lived and knocked on the door. A man answered, and I asked if the car in front of his house belonged to him. He confirmed that it belonged to him and his wife. I explained I'd been backing out of my friend's driveway and accidentally hit his door and smashed it in. The man was extremely nice about it. I gave him and his wife my mom's cell phone because at age 16, I would not be any help at all dealing with insurances and what those mean. But the man and his wife were able to work out a deal with my parents to prevent my insurance rates from going up by not actually having to go through insurance at all. While my parents were not thrilled with me, I did not receive any further punishment than the shame of causing an accident. In later years, I learned from my parents that they did not punish me because I had done the right thing and took responsibility for my mistake. And therefore, a scary, difficult moment in my life helped give me clarification about who I was. I made a mistake, but I took responsibility for my actions. I was scared to death, and doing the right thing is often hard, especially when you're tempted to take the easy way out and drive away. But choosing to be better than the person who runs away is something that can make all the difference. And that sense of self or character has helped me so much, especially as an attorney. But I like this story because it illustrates how something as small as making the right choice at age 16 can impact your life even, now it's 18 years ago, So I want to leave you with a quote from one of my favorite movies and people of all time, Erin Brockovich. In 1983, for those who don't know, Erin was a single mom of 3 children in California. She worked at a law firm, though she wasn't a lawyer. While working there, she discovered, while reviewing cases of unexplained illnesses, that a major U.S. company had been covering up the fact that they had let dangerous chemicals seep into the drinking water in a town called Hinckley, also in California. She became a whistleblower, which led to a successful lawsuit against the company, which resulted in much-needed money for the families affected. If you haven't seen that movie, I encourage you to immediately go watch it after the ceremony. But back to the quote. Erin once said, "If you follow your heart, if you listen to your gut, and if you extend your hand to help another, not for any agenda, but for the sake of humanity, you are going to find the truth." I actually have that hanging up in my office, and I think it sums up everything tonight. If you put in the effort to pursue your academic dreams, if you step up and you take the lead, if you reach out to help those in need, if you make even little efforts every day to do the right thing and develop these 4 pillars that you've already shown are important to you, then you can't help but become great people who do great things. Thank you, and congratulations to the inductees.
Inductees, please stand and recite the pledge along with me. I pledge myself to uphold the high purpose of the National Honor Society, to which I have been selected, to build strong character in myself and others, to advance scholarship, to provide leadership, and to serve my school, my community, and my country in the interest of humanity. We will now introduce the inductees and present each with a pin. Alexis Abrams. Mr. Swinnerton described Alexis as hardworking and having great communication and organization skills. Lucas Alexander. Ms. Cruz thinks of Lucas as being polite, respectful, and making good choices to represent our school very well. Danielle Blake. Ms. Ruth expressed Danielle as approaching academics with a deep sense of respect and setting high expectations for herself and peers. Bailey Bryant. Ms. Sturdivant described Bailey as excelling academically and being a hard worker. Ryan Heidick. Mr. Marth believes Ryan is a true chemistry star who often goes out of his way to help his peers. Riley Mills. Ms. Rosado described Riley as being a leader in class, demonstrating positive leadership. Giselle Simpkins. Ms. Rosado believes Giselle is always an excellent role model for her peers to look up to. Henry Shelby. Ms. Cruz thinks of Henry as being a very responsible and trustworthy student. Logan Shirley. Ms. Barrick described Logan as helpful, diligent, and consistently working hard to improve her skills. Kimlisha Still. Ms. Anderson described Kimlisha as a very kind, respectful, and dedicated student. Owen Thompson. Mr. Harkey described Owen as very dependable and has an excellent work ethic. Mel Walther. Ms. Stranick thinks of Mel as being a serious student and natural leader who leads by example. I'd like to thank our principal, Ms. Harris, guest speaker, Ms. Ritma, and advisors, Ms. Fine and Ms. Stranick, for their hard work in organizing this year's induction ceremony. Special thanks go to Mr. Phil and his AV team, as well as Ms. Barrick and the Chamber Orchestra. Please join me in thanking them with a round of applause. Thank you all so much for attending the National Honor Society induction ceremony. Please join me once again in congratulating all of our new Honor Society members. We hope you can join us for Cake and Punch in the Media Center. Please remain seated until the members of the NHS have recessed.